Alright, algebra fans, it's Mr. Spilker here. Hello and welcome to Chapter 4, Section 2. Chapter 4, Section 2, and our title of our lesson today is Percent Problems. Percent Problems. So go ahead and get the correct heading on your notes. We have two objectives for today. We want to be able to find equivalent decimals and percents, and we need to solve problems involving percents. Alright, the first part of our lesson today deals with conversions from decimals to percents and fractions. Now, we're not going to go over this in detail because this is something we feel that you should already know. But if there is something in here that's new to you, you may want to make note of it in your notes. The first thing we're going to talk about is changing each percent to a decimal. If you need to change a percent to a decimal, you simply move the decimal 2 spaces to the left and then remove the percent symbol. To change each decimal to a percent, and this is a very important one, you move the decimal 2 spaces to the right and you add a percent symbol. So 0.05 would be 5%. 0.2 would be 20%. 2.5 would be 250%. 0.003 would be 0.3%. So to change a decimal to a percent, you move the decimal 2 to the right. And then our last one down here, and I've kind of just sketched it in because it wasn't on our original notes, is a fraction to a percent. This is most handy when getting quizzes back and dealing with fraction situations. To change a fraction to a percent, you take the top divided by the bottom, and then you move that decimal that you get 2 spots to the right. So you take top divided by bottom, and then move it 2 to the right. So that's just a quick review of how to convert from decimals to percents and fractions. If any of this is new to you, put it in your notes. Alright, quite a few things we want to cover here with percent problems. The first thing we're going to talk about is solving a basic percent problem. And a basic percent problem is a problem just like this. What is 20% of 100? So we're going to talk about how to solve those word problems that involve percents. Now, if you looked at the book, they would tell you to solve it by using part over whole equals percent over 100. That is not the method we teach. We have a better graphic organizer for you, and that is by using the is over of equals percent over 100. That is a graphic organizer that you're going to want to go ahead and write down into your notes there. Is over of equals percent over 100. And we're going to use that graphic organizer anytime we see one of these percent problems. It's going to make these percent problems much easier. So to solve percent problems, we're going to use is over of equals percent over 100. Now let's jump into some examples and use that proportion. Ladies and gentlemen, we are going to have 3 types of percent problems. Here is an example of each type. What we're going to do with these 3 types is go ahead and apply the graphic organizer of is over of equals percent over 100. That's basically the formula you're going to use when dealing with these problems. So let's go ahead and jump into number 1 here. Number 1, these are great to put down into your notes. Number 1, see if I can get my pen to work here. Number 1 says, what percent of 80 is 15? So what percent? Does anybody see a percent symbol in this problem? No. So that category is going to be our variable x. Of 80. Anybody want to guess where 80 is going to go? You guessed right. Down there in the of category. Is 15. Anybody want to guess where 15 is going to go? Yep. In the top. Now maybe saying, well, wait a minute. I still have the missing number on the bottom right. Guys, the bottom right is always 100. So we have 15 over 80 equals x over 100. We could then go ahead and solve that proportion, and we would find the solution. So to solve that, we would obviously take 15 times 100 and divide it by 80. And that gives us a final answer of 18.75. Alright, let's jump into number 2. Number 2 says find 115% of 200. Anytime you see the word find, we translate that to be what is. The word find means what is. So let's go through this, okay? What is? Do we know our is? Nope. So our x goes where is in our category. 115%, ooh, that's our percent. I see a percent symbol. So I'm going to put 115 in the top right of 200. So of 200. 200 goes on the bottom left, and then 100 is always on the bottom right. Now we have our proportion set up. I'm not going to go ahead and solve that because I think we already know how to solve proportions. So we'll go ahead and jump into example 3. 45 is 40% of what number? 45 is my is. 40%. Anybody want to guess where that 40 is going to go? Yep, top right. Of what number? Ooh, they don't tell us the of. So that's going to be the variable, always over 100 on the bottom right. Now that we have our proportion set up, we can solve that for the missing value. So anytime you're solving these percent word problems, use is over of equals percent over 100. Is over of equals percent over 100. That is the best graphic organizer that we can recommend to you to solve these percent problems. All right, let's jump into applications. Now, students, understand this. I had a student the other day say, man, these videos they bother me because I can't write as fast as you guys teach. Well, guess what feature you have? The pause button, and you can rewind. So, use those features when needed. If we're going too fast, pause it, rewind it, play it again. You have those options since this is a video. All right, let's get into percents, discounts, and markups. This is the application part. Probably the most valuable part of this percent application because these are situations which we will all encounter in the real world. Discounts, markups, and I left the word out, taxes. Those are no fun. All right, let's jump right into a discount. To find a discount, subtract the percent from 100 and then multiply that by the original price. This will be the price that you pay. For a tax, you're going to add that percent tax to 100 and then multiply that by the original price, and then a markup is the same as a tax. So let me explain this percent you pay, because you're going to see me today in the teaching video write you pay, the percent you pay. Well guys, if you're getting a 20% discount, so like for example, if you go to Old Navy and they say, hey, everything in the store today is 20% off, then that means you pay 80%. If you go to Gordman's and Gordman says 30% off everything today, come on in our store. We want you guys to be in here, 30% off. Well, then that means you pay 70%. If they're taking 30% off, that means you only have to pay 70%. Let's say you go to PetSmart and PetSmart says, hey, all dog food is 45% off and your dog Roscoe needs a big bag of dog food. Well, then that means you only have to pay 55% for your dog food. So when you hear me say this percent you pay, in terms of a discount, you're taking the discount and subtracting it from 100. 100% is what we would consider to be full price. And that's how we get the percent you pay. Does everybody understand where I'm coming up with those numbers? All right, let's jump into an application problem with discounts. The sophomore class is sponsoring a trip to see a movie. Awesome, exciting. Students' tickets normally cost $8, but if at least 20 people buy tickets as part of this group, then there's a 30% discount. How much will each ticket cost at the discounted price? Well, let's think about this. Okay, you take the percent you pay, and you're going to multiply it by the original price, and that's going to equal your new price. So, what percent do you pay? Well, if full price is 100% and you get 30% off, then that means you pay 70%. So let's change that to a decimal, 0.70, and then we multiply that by the original price. And what was the original price of the tickets? $8. So then in your calculator, you would do 0.7 times 8, and that tells you that your ticket to the movie theater is $5.60. $5.60. So to find a discount, you take the percent, you may want to put this in your notes here, folks, the percent you pay times the original price, and that will equal your new price. Percent you pay times original price equals your new price. Taxes or markups are just the opposite of discounts. Instead of the price going down, the price goes up. So instead of subtracting from 100, we add to 100. So if there's a 7% sales tax, that means you pay 107%. If there's an 80% markup on an item, that means you pay 180%. If there's a 40% increase on an item, that means you pay 140%. So now we're going to work with application problems that are the opposite of discounts. Markups and taxes. That means the price is going to go up. All right, let's get into a application problem with a tax here. It says the price of a hat is marked as $14.97. At the cash register, the clerk tells you that you will be charged an additional 7% in sales tax, which is common for the state of Nebraska. What is the total price including tax? Well, you don't have to guess the price. When you buy something, you have to go to the register and be like, oh, I wonder how much they're going to charge me. No, you should be able to figure it out. You take the price of the item times the percent you pay. So since you're getting hit with a 7% tax, that means you pay 107%. 107% in your calculator would be 1.07. Remember, you move the decimal to the left. Then you would take that times the original price of the hat, which is $14.97. And then when you take 1.07 times $14.97, that comes out to be $16. And if we round to the nearest penny, which they do, $16.02. So with sales tax, that hat costs $16.02. All right, now that we understand markups and discounts and taxes, let's jump into the very last part of today's lesson. And I know there's a lot in today's lesson, so make sure you take your notes, make sure you rewind as needed. The last part is percent increase or decrease. If you want to find the percent increase or decrease, the easiest thing to do is just take the change that has occurred divided by the original price or the original amount, and then you change that to a percent. That's the easiest thing to do. Change divided by original, change it to a percent. The amount it's changed divided by the original, and then take that and change it to a percent. So go ahead and write that down, and then we'll get into one example here. All right, here's my example. A family is adding additional rooms to their house. The house originally has 1,500 square feet of floor space, but after the additions are completed, the house will have 1,800 square feet of floor space. Find the percent of increase in floor space. So to find the percent increase, we take the change. How much did it change? It went from 1,500 to 1,800, so it changed by 300. You take the change divided by the original. How much was there originally? 1,500. If you do that in a calculator, 300 divided by 1,500 comes out to be 0.2. So is there 0.2% change? No. You would then change that to a percent. So that would equal 20%. And since the amount is going up, you would say a 20% increase. So when you're dealing with percent change problems, the easiest thing to do is take change, so how much has it changed, divided by the original amount, and then change it to a percent. All right, folks, that's our teaching lesson tonight. Once again, I know it's kind of a longer video, but we had a lot to get in. So, all right, that concludes our video. We kind of got cut off there. My battery said it was low on this. So thanks for listening. If you have any questions, we'll get those answered. Please fill out the Google form below.
Made with Doodlecast Pro.